right, so the mailbag's done. I just wanted, we're going to catch up here a little bit. Cassie joined us in January, and this is our first time doing something together, and it's kind of an after the mailbag segment where we just kind of bounce around some things that we think about and that people ask us. But obviously, the big news of the week and probably the month will be Tucker Carlson announcing some unknown partnership with Twitter. Cassie's on Fox frequently. She's on local radio and has been at a very high level in the media and working with the media most of her career. What's your thought on Tucker joining Twitter, I guess?
I mean, it kind of shook everybody, right? I think we had a minute to process it, but I think first Fox is going to be fine. Their viewership is throughout the day side and stuff is very good. If people are like my parents, they don't know that their TV has other channels, and so I think that's a hard habit to break. So I think they'll be okay. I think it's interesting with where Tucker's going to go. Everybody, just like why people would tune into a show, you didn't know which side he was going to come down on issues, what topics he was going to address. So to see how he's going to take on a new platform, there's obviously going to be interest in that initially. And it just, but we were talking about this earlier. Fox has such a great built-in platform. It's plug and play. You show up, there's an audience that shows up for you. Now, he brought in a lot of audience, but they've got everything built around you to support you and make you a success. And so he's going to have to build that wherever he goes. And we know a little bit about that in the credit card industry when you have to build everything and you're competing against the guys that have been doing it for decades and have it all built in. So that's what I think will be most interesting is the infrastructure around whatever he does.
Yeah. I'm kind of excited about it because I'm with you. Fox is going to be fine. They're so big and they're so good at what they do. But, Elon Musk, Tucker Carlson.
2023, man.
I mean, what's going on here?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think it'll be exciting. I do worry that it was great hearing from Tucker because he'd give you kind of every night, like the straight deal on some issue. And I'll miss him on Fox because, that we're a big Fox family. But we'll be able to find him on Twitter, I guess, now. So, good for him. Well, I mean, DC's really focused all summer on two things. One, the Biden economy and the shutdown. You're a veteran of shutdowns.
You're a veteran of shutdowns.
I'm a veteran in shutdowns. What's your thought? What most importantly, what is the shutdown going to impact our coin customers?
So the president was saying yesterday, he was like, I'm optimistic because I'm an optimistic guy, whatever. But that to me says that there was some push towards we're going to get this done in the meeting that he's having with all the leaders, with McCarthy, McConnell, and everybody. So I think that's good optimism for everyone, right? And then there's always this thought, I mean, we both worked on Capitol Hill for a long time, like Congress always finds a way. So I'm optimistic about that. But I do think that the American people are more in tune with this debt in a way that we haven't been in previous fiscal cliffs. Yes. I mean, it's just outrageous. And so Biden is McCarthy put together a good proposal that actually gets some fiscal house in order stuff. Right. And Biden's going to have to come to him a little bit. And if he doesn't, this is absolutely a pox on his house. And people are attuned to that. I think they're going to figure it out. But in terms of the blame of this all, I mean, if Biden is like, no, I still got to spend all my trillions of dollars and all my climate programs,
right,
that's going to backfire on him.
Yeah, I think Cassie's got a great point on the spending. There's a saying in DC, when you come to a fiscal cliff, just build more cliff. And what that means is just spend more money. But Cassie's right. The spending the last decade has been incredible. You can argue whether it was valuable or not, but the proof is in the pudding is that we're over $30 trillion. So I look at the spending, I worry about it. And I see the administration on one hand raising rates on interest rates on banks, on mortgages, on credit cards to try to slow inflation, yet spending on the other side driving inflation. And you would like to see some mirror in that. I think the impact to coin customers is going to be largely a DC thing where there's a lot of gnashing of teeth, a lot of stories written about it. But if they can make sure it doesn't go too long, I think the impact will be minimal on your day-to-day finances and your daily life. Not investing advice, but just kind of how I think if you look at the history of past shutdowns. It's big drama in DC. It has to get done. But generally the impacts haven't been felt at a consumer level.
Yeah, I think we're fortunate, and you speak to this really well, that coiners are really responsible, hardworking Americans, pay your bills, have worked hard. And so that's where these things are just hopefully more of an annoyance.
Yeah.
But it's becoming closer and closer to annoyance at all of our expenses because of these policies. It's like you don't have to spend this money. I always think about the climate policies person. What do you think about like all the banking news and stuff that how should we be thinking about that?
Well, the banking issue is really tricky, and it's impacted coin. It's impacted all of us. Higher interest rates. Your house is worth less today because of the higher interest rates. And if you're trying to buy a house, it's a lot harder. I think there's a few things. One, the federal government has stepped in on some banks. Now, whether they need to be bailed out or not, I'll let other people discuss. But the impact is a pressure from DC to put all of our chips into a few mega banks. And I'm really resistant to that idea. I think we all should be because if you know the government's going to bail you out, do you think the CEOs of these mega banks are going to make the best choices for the consumers? Or are they going to get as much money as possible and knowing that if the bottom falls out like 2008, the government's going to step in and save them? But also I'll make a different point, which is if you're at a company, a startup company that doesn't have a popular idea or an idea that's not blessed by the woke media, like say a startup conservative credit card, you can't get financing from these big banks. They will not work with you because we're conservatives. So it's no mystery to me that our banks are in the Midwest. The three banks we work with are all in the Midwest. They're smaller banks. We got to know them as human beings. We got to know them personally. They liked our business model. They thought we had the best customers in the world, which we do. And it allowed us to grow this company. But if the big five, we went to them. I mean, I want to let you know, we started there, and every one of them said, we aren't comfortable with the risk you present us. Is the nice way they say we don't want to work with conservatives.
Just conservative. That's the risk. Let alone all these other guys that are falling. Yes. What has been? Oh yeah, this is. You always ask this of us, but I want to know what's the biggest surprise you've learned from working at Coin? I mean, talk about when you first thought of Coin. Speaking of a whole different economy. But then now that we're here, like we're sitting in, we have an office, like a real place.
Yeah.
Like, what's your biggest surprise?
Well, I started thinking about this during COVID. Seriously, I had a few thoughts about it, and I was looking at clothing or food, and I was talking to a really smart friend of mine, and he said, conservatives don't have extra time, and they want something really efficient that they use every day that doesn't make them take an extra step. And just then, we were at a restaurant getting lunch. The waitress delivered the check. And he pointed on the table. He said, "You should get into credit cards." And I said, "My goodness, I don't know anything about credit cards." So it took me a while to find people who knew credit cards. We formed a great partnership, and that's what started. But during COVID, I was home like all of us, and I've been thinking about it, not doing anything. It was always that thing someday I was going to do, and I just said, let's spend 1 hour a day working on it. So I worked on it 1 hour a day, and those first days were hard. It was, I'd set my, Siri, set a, timer, and first, I just begged for that timer to ring because it was just so hard, and it was just not. But slowly the wheel started to turn, and it started to move, and we had a different name and a different team, and then it all switched, and we got it done. And we launched the wait list, and we launched a card, and then we started. We had our first 10 customers, then it was 100, then it was 1,000, then it was thousands. Then we had customers in every state of the union. And you kind of look back and you say, was there one moment? Yeah. People always ask me, was there one moment you knew, and I was like, no, like it was just a series of pushing a boulder up a hill and always seeing the boulder and hoping eventually we'll get to the top and see the sunset. But we're still working. We're still getting there. How about you? You've been with us 6 months. What was your surprise?
Well, I think I loved the fun surprise has been all of the people we work with who just have like wild backgrounds in all of the places that we lament, who were like, finally, I can take my talents to a place that matches my values. And I think that's super cool. I mean, people have left really incredible careers to chase a company that matches their values. And so that's really fun to work with those folks. But then the surprising thing is you had this line like down the block, around the corner, like from the marketing perspective, you're like, this is going to be gravy. And it's so hard to give people a card. Yeah. And like you talk about the capital. I mean, the capital you're figuring out, but just the stipulations around who can get that card, and that's really hard to tell people. Like, I know you really want this. Like, who stands in line for a credit card? Like, that's nuts. I don't stand in line for anything.
Well, we're Americans. We hate lines.
Right. And yet people are doing it for this, which is so motivating every day. You're like, all right, there are people who are wanting us to figure this out, needing us to figure this out. So that's really fun. But you put together a really fun team, Rob. It's cool.
Yeah, I mean, companies you've heard of, companies that you probably are customers of, people who've worked at these great operations who joined us have really jumped with us, taken a risk with us, and through the newsletter, we've been giving you a flavor of who we work with, and they're super talented, super motivated, and yeah, we're super blessed to have them on the team, and we're going to keep growing and building. So anyway, we're going to wrap it up. Let us know if you like this. We're thinking of doing some sort of town hall format. Maybe have some special guests. You recommend some special guests, but maybe get some conservative pundits or thought leaders or people who give speeches. I don't know. We'll find somebody entertaining just to come on and talk to us about what they're up to. So let us know if you have any ideas. Share this with your friends. Push it around. The only way we grow Coin successfully is if our customers are our salespeople. And so we would really encourage you, send them to coin.com, have them ask questions, take your card out, show them that you're using a conservative company to pay all your bills. It works. You have all the cyber protections you expect from one of the large companies, but every time you swipe, a portion of that swipe is going to a great American conservative charity. So that's all the time we have right now. Thank you, Cassie.
Thanks, Rob.
All right. Have a great rest of your day. God bless. Spend right.